What's up? It's Brick Savage, and we're drinking at Moe's. All right, everybody, taking time out before we get this show started. I want to thank Reaper Apparel for having Drinking at Moe's be a brand ambassador for their clothing line. They got good stuff. They got t-shirts, they got hoodies, they got beanies, they got lots of great stuff, encouraging everybody to break out of their comfort zone, live their best self, and hey, it's something I try to live every day. Now, be sure when you go and you're finishing filling out your order, use the code Drinking at Moe's, get 10% off, and the link and the code will both be in the description. Let's fucking go. All right, everybody. Welcome to Drinking at Moe's. Big Mo here. You know the drill. YouTube, like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff because it helps with that pain in the ass algorithm where most places you can find your audio podcast too. Today, I'm excited to have it with me. I've been excited about this one for a little bit now. The World Breaker, Brick Savage. How you doing? What's going on, boss? How you doing?
Well, I'm doing all right. We'll go into something that we actually have a little bit in common with some friends over at Wrestling Revolver.
Yeah.
I was actually just at their season finale show over in Des Moines.
Yeah.
That was a good time.
I bet Wrestling Revolver is top notch, to say the least. Very, very fun company to work for.
Oh yeah, I've been lucky enough to have Sean T, the ring announcer, on. I've had Matthew Palmer. I had him on. Good Lord, I've had a few other people that have passed through their doors. So yeah, nothing but great things about that promotion. Nothing but great.
Yeah, big fun. I had a blast. I was over there last minute deal to wrestle Steve Macklin and Lance Archer. So glad they got me over there. Had a blast. Venue was great over there at the Epic up in Dallas. It was cool deal. Hopefully they'll have me back again here. I see they're back in Texas, I believe February 17th.
Somewhere in February, yeah.
February 17th, I believe. I want to say it's at the same place at the Epic, which I think is in.
I'm wanting to say if I remember looking at the announcement right. I believe so.
Yeah. So hopefully they have me back. I know we have talks for sure with Sammy, so we'll see. My date's open.
I've been lucky enough to get to meet both of the people you were involved with at that Tales from the Ring show, Macklin and Lance Archer. Lance Archer, I'll admit, he's one of my people that I will say when I met up with him, knowing the in-ring persona, it was like, oh, fuck, that's actually him. He's standing right there in front of me.
Yeah, he's a cool dude. We were supposed to have a match at NPX, but something happened. I didn't have the match with him. This was before the Revolver show, and ended up wrestling Shane Taylor instead, which is just as good.
Good replacement.
Just as good for me. And then, lucky enough, I was able to get him again. They threw him in. It was going to be Macklin versus me, singles, and they threw him in, thus for a three-way house battle. So, super happy to get to work both of them at the same time. Would absolutely do it again.
Oh, yeah. No, I remember hearing about that. And yeah, I was a little puzzled at first, but then I saw Archer getting added to it. And I'm like, ooh, this is going to be good.
Yeah, I'm assuming, they had our match up there, and then Archer got cleared to go. They said he'd be there, but I then figured throw him in this match would be a good one, which I'm glad they did because it was a great match.
Oh, yeah, that it was. Now, before we go into a little more here, there's something I like to ask everybody that comes on, and that's what got you started as a fan, and then what got you deciding to make that leap into wrestling?
Uh, Man, the distinct memory I have for wrestling that I remember getting into it real deep was the Scott Hall invasion deal. He jumping over the barricade.
Mm.
That was the moment like I was watching it like every week, two TVs at the same time type to watch those WWF. So I want to say it was then. I've definitely watched it before, way early on, like pay-per-views whenever those were a thing when you'd have to buy them.
Yeah.
Way long ago. Watching like stuff like In Your House, Bret
Mm.
Hart, Stone Cold stuff, and back when Jake the Snake was there too. So I was watching here and there when I was younger, but man, I really got into it more when that was happening. I also want to say, also around that time, my dad was getting into wrestling himself, so that was probably more of a reason why. It just had to be on around the house a lot more. So that was probably a big reason that we ended up watching it more as a kid anyway, and getting into it more. And as far as getting into it now, like I mentioned before, it was kind of an accident. I was supposed to be retired from doing physical sports, retired from pro powerlifting, and wasn't going to do anything. And I had a friend of mine just basically suggest that I should get back into it. Didn't want to. Talked it over with my then tag partner, Damo. Went up to a training session in Fort Worth. I felt really good after about 2 hours of knocking some ring rust off. And then I had like a 3 hour drive to contemplate what I just did. So I got back home to Austin and threw on some gear to like make it look and was all right, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. So basically, and I just happened to get hit up by somebody was a like childhood friend way back when from wrestling and asked me to be a part of his show. I got one contact here, one contact there, and next thing you know, I was basically working every weekend as soon as I started.
Oh, yeah. No, that's awesome. You get, kind of similar with the how things have gone with the podcast for me. It's, I got started, you know, interviewing some of my friends or wrestlers here locally. And then I just got to thinking, you know, I'm going to run out of people eventually. So then it got me thinking the SATs had liked something of mine on Twitter, and that was right around the time of them, you know, they were going up against the Briscoes and the Hardys and those matches. I'm like, holy crap, okay. Then I asked them, and I'm like, this might be a long shot. And then boom, that just spurred off a whole bunch of other stuff, and it's been crazy. And now, as of this week, if all the recordings happen, I will be just about 4 or 5 episodes shy of 200.
Yeah, woo, hustling, bustling. I'd have to add it up. How many matches I've had so far? And I don't think it's 200. I think it might be a little shy of 200, to be honest,
Oh,
uh,
yeah.
as of now. But I mean, been hustling, bustling every weekend for the most part. I've had some small downtimes here and there, just for rest and recovery. But
Yeah.
man, that's what been busting butt. I feel like I did more matches this year than I did last year for sure. Uh, Only because I started March 2022 and then had this whole entire 2023 to basically work with. Although I did take some high key breaks, like
Oh,
especially the next couple months. I took a good about 6 weeks off, 3 in November, 3 in December.
hey, nothing wrong with taking a little break. I know, good Lord, there was it was like a month or two ago where I saw that with the recordings that I had already done and scheduled out, that there was a period I could take like 2 3 weeks off in one of those months and just do nothing, just release stuff that I had already done. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take it.
Yeah, as you should. Yeah, having rest and recovery is probably the best medicine for anybody, because overworking yourself doesn't do anybody any good.
Oh yeah.
Found that out the hard way more than once, for as long as I can remember. I still do.
Oh yeah. I mean, for me, there's been times where like I'm getting some names I never thought I ever would be in a million years talking to, like, oh, the SATs. I remember not thinking that he'd actually respond, but Kerry Silkin, former owner of Ring of Honor, had him on. And then, guys like Alex Colon, John Wayne Murdoch, Madman Pondo, Jake Christ just started coming. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, uh, I figure if anybody if they haven't done a podcast, they absolutely should. It was a great opportunity. I've done at least a handful now, and anytime someone asks me, I'm definitely going to open up do it. It's just more traffic, for
Yeah.
both groups here, to get things going on for both of us. So, real fun deal to be a part of, and then also just have on the back end like, hey, here's some extra information about this person. Let's look it up.
Oh, definitely. And, I have fun, putting my notes together and stuff for each of the guests. But, talking about more traffic, there was something, and, I'll probably share the video, a little cutout here, little viral clip of you. Holy crap. Like, I literally showed my friend that I went to that Revolver show with the clip, and his jaw was just on the floor. I remember I made the comment to you about it reminding me of Hulk with Loki in the Avengers. Wham, wham, wham.
It's listen, I've been thinking about this thing for about like 6 months, maybe a little longer. Um, and it had been an opportunity for me to use it at the moment. And then Inspire decided to put me in the ring with three twinks. And I was like, bam, okay, let me see. We started talking, and I needed a one thing to kind of just like exclamation point, cement the whole deal for that last part there. And man, we figured out how to work it, and it it worked.
It did. That it did.
It worked. It worked. The camera angle looks great, because it was one of those things that like if you blink, you miss it. You saw it and didn't know what you just watched, and it just kind of like silenced everybody. It was just like, what the hell was that?
That was the exact thought that went through my head when I first saw that. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, when you get your commentary team speechless, you did something right. They
Oh
even
yeah.
explain what they just watched.
Yeah, that
So
was just
I
craziness.
happened on Sunday. I got that clip Sunday night, and I was like, "Oh, this thing is nuts!" And as soon as I posted, I knew I had some gold there, and it just went all over the place. And
Oh god.
it's
Yeah,
still
I heard everybody talking about it. It was nuts.
the only caveat thing is that maybe I should have like put my watermark with Roland on the bottom there, because those things go around everywhere and nobody actually like tags the wrestlers or the camera people in it. So those
True.
things get lost. I get putting them into a montage and stuff like that. You don't give credit to all that stuff, but if you're reposting that deal, at least tag me in it and let the people know, hey, this is the wrestler in it. Tag Cavins in it. Let us know there's the other wrestler in it.
Yeah.
I tag Roland. It's his clip. Trying to, I put all that stuff in the main clip so that people know who they were. But you get that repost. Those people don't put those tags in there. I feel like that's almost as important because my name helps get the camera crew's name out there, and hopefully that gets them a better spot somewhere else. Gets them, hey, I saw this clip. You got great footage. Can we hire you over here?
Yeah.
It's a good way to get back in all aspects too. Even for Cavens, like if you think about it, you know, without either one of us, that move doesn't work, very well. You got people wanting to imitate it, but I don't think that move really works as well with not the right dynamic. So,
Yeah.
you got Cavens in there. I am. He's incredible. And dude's incredible, right? So, it took both of us to figure it out. So it's one of those things that, I think goes all full circle when you make posts like that. You want to
Yeah.
tag them the recognition that they need.
Oh, definitely. I can fully agree with you there. And also on the fact of it, being a certain dynamic to make that work. Like a guy like you versus a guy like that you did the move to there, and anybody else, it would just depend on who.
Yeah.
Not just anybody, any two can pull that off
Right.
and make it look like you guys did.
Yeah, I figured that there's a weight limit to people I could do that to. And surprisingly, it probably surprised to a lot of people the actual weight limit I think I could do that with. And it's one of those things that it really takes practice, but I don't have time to practice that kind of thing with the people who weigh that much. So if you see me do it again to somebody who's a little bit bigger, don't be surprised.
I'll be keeping an eye out for that. Now, there was one other promotion before we get back into some Revolver and MPX stuff. Hot Pro Wrestling. I have actually been fortunate enough to interview a few people that have gone through there, including the guy that you beat for a title there, the Hot Anarchy Championship, Chris Morrison. I had him on like a while back. Something happened. We weren't able to get him on again yet. But then, there's other guys like Kane Carter. I've had him on. And something I've liked with this show is I'm getting to learn all sorts of new stuff, new promotions, and I've been lucky enough to get to talk to, like I said, a few people. But there was one thing when I was looking up the Hot Pro Wrestling website that I was a little curious on, because there's the Hot Pro titles and then there's the Hot Anarchy. Like, there's, I'm guessing, a difference, but for people like me that might not know as much, what is that difference?
Yeah, so your anarchy part is basically your no holds barred, more or less. So you got the HOT side of things where it's family friendly, and then the anarchy side where it's a little bit more gruesome. You have your death match stuff, more cussing, more blood, more danger, essentially on that side. That's basically the separation of the two. One's a little bit more family friendly, the other one not so much. Kind of like the rated R versus
Yeah.
PG-13.
Gotcha. Yeah. I had a feeling that's kind of the way it was leaning, because the other champion in that anarchy part, Dmitry Alexandrov, another past guest of mine, so I know, talking from him and his normal style, in him being a champion, I'm like, wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I was supposed to wrestle Jeff Gant for it, but his ball shrunk up and he decided he didn't want to do it and vacated it. So me and Chris Morrison got to wrestle for it, which is great. It was the first dual championship win for HOT, and nobody's held a dual championship there. So that was a big milestone for them, for me, and it kind of gave me the rules to like bend a lot more with my Hot Network Championship. So I basically defended both of them at the same time. So and I'm pretty sure most of the shows were Anarchy, but even nonetheless, the Hot Network title, you get the TV version rules plus the Anarchy. I kind of just like was able to mold those rules together and do whatever I wanted, more or less. So that's basically what happened.
Hey, no, that's my type of stuff. I like that intense, like, oh God, I remember recently watching, because I'm a fan of deathmatch wrestling, watching, I believe it was H2O and their Uncharted Territory show. They have a deathmatch discovery gauntlet this season. And one time my wife was actually sitting there watching with me. She was like, "Is that carpet strips? Like, is that necessary?" And I'm just sitting there laughing, like, yeah.
Yeah, it's
It
one of
was
those
just,
things.
oh man.
Not so
Oh,
much for me. I did one death match with Sky De La Cremosa for Baracho Pro,
mm,
uh, but it was a bricks rules death match. So essentially, I changed the rules basically twice during that match. Something different. Add the death match stuff to it, different nuanced rules because everybody else there's still death matches and different gimmicks throughout the rest of the show. So this one was a little bit different, a little bit more, nuance and stages to climb, more or less, and just made it a little bit more interesting. So I thought it was a pretty cool concept, something I might look forward to doing again. Maybe not so much the deathmatch stuff thing, but the bricks rules thing was definitely an interesting twist to the match, and essentially uh, how it unfolded. I ended up putting like a handicap on myself for the last stipulation that I inputted. So kind of made it like a little bit easier for this person to win if they did this thing versus me if I have to do, something a little bit takes a little bit more effort to do, which just showcases, different types of skill out of both of us because essentially he needed to get one pin, I needed to have him put him down for a 10 count. So, that nuance of like who's gonna get what, all you do is get a 3 count. All you
yeah.
do is count of three. And Uh, you know, Broncho Pro has that deal. I want to say it's on IWTV, if I'm not mistaken. Every title match. I think it's on IWTV.
I might have to go look that up. I know I have IWTV. I got it back because I started interviewing. I've lost count of how many people from Matt Tremont's promotion, and they're telling me about all these crazy matches. I'm like, well, I guess it's about time I get that back.
Yeah, it's got a lot of good stuff. Uh, regrettably, I got title match, IWTV, and all that stuff so I could watch the shows that I'm on, for one, with some of the other shows that, some people I'm looking forward to wrestling that are on. And, I like some of the stuff to be on YouTube because it's a little easier to access, but it is what it is. Yeah, the Bracho Pro Show is on IWTV. The What? It's the Live or Die uh,
Okay.
episode, the Halloween one. And so a lot of good gimmicks. John Wayne Murdoch's on that show. Hoodfoot. Man, there's a ton of people are on that show. It was kind of a crazy big send off for the end of the year.
Yeah.
So good show. And it was pretty fun.
Awesome. Now, there's another show that I was seeing an advertisement for on Facebook, and it's for some people. The promotion that I don't think whoever runs their social media likes me too much, but XPW versus MAGA Butcher.
Oh, so that's Loco Wrestling and XPW.
Ah,
Yeah, so Loco Wrestling's Jaime, and then Rob Black's XPW. Yeah, that just got announced. So whenever this one gets put out, and here's a little insider deal on that before that match happens. But uh, when I was younger, my dad was basically training with Necro Butcher,
mm,
not Butcher at the time,
yeah,
and I was there training up there, on the breaks and doing that stuff up there with him. And I traveled to all these other shows with my dad and Necro and Sean Hernandez and all that stuff, all these other people and stuff to these different shows. So I've known Necro since I was a kid. I'm not sure if he particularly remembers me. Now obviously look totally different from when I was 12 and 13 years old. So
yeah.
uh, I haven't reached out to him to talk to him or anything like that just yet. It's one of those things that I'll see him at the show. I guess we'll figure it out. So it's one of those things that close off this little chapter, basically from my childhood and kind of like, I don't know, inaugurate me into like this current pro wrestler version of myself that I have now. So just kind of wrapping it up full circle. I've already wrestled Sean Hernandez earlier this year.
Mm.
Matter of fact, I want to say it was around in January. So at the same time, I'm about to have old Necro here a year later, wrap that chapter up. Put
Yeah.
that ass whooping on him for my pops, one time for the old time.
Mm.
See, so that should be very interesting. Good slugfest there between the both of
Oh
us.
yeah. And one other person that I big fan of that I'm like when I saw the advertisement for it, it's I believe it's already happened, but you and Njpw.
Mm.
I believe that one already happened, but yeah,
Yeah,
I'm like
that
just
was another
imagining you
three-way.
two together.
That was another three-way. It was at HOT. They had it come and take it. So it should be up on their network. So it was me, Jacob Fatu, and Sam Stackhouse.
Mm.
And I want to say it was, if I'm going to be honest, I think it was like the match of the night there. There are some nuances of the stuff that happened that night, but man, just the crazy stuff that happened, the way the match ended, I think it was just top tier out of all three competitors. And, it's one of those things that one of my top matches that I've had this year. And I put it in there. At least it's probably top five.
Yeah, I would imagine. And your other three-way that we talked a little bit about earlier with Macklin and Lance Archer, I definitely put that, in my opinion, put that one in there too,
Yeah.
because Revolver and MPX have had that partnership there. I guess with Matthew Palmer being the guy behind MPX, and the working stuff that he does with Revolver, which he just turned a little bit of a new or old attitude with his in-ring persona at the last Revolver show.
Yeah, I didn't see the last Revolver show, but I did catch the Twitter, the posts and whatnot. So I seen that Monster Hunter is now dead. I like the Monster Hunter. He was I saw him first in Inspire, and I think he wrestled Effie that night. And I absolutely fell in love with that character. Not gonna lie. He came out to I think it was like "Gimme Gimme" or something. It was a super high upbeat EDM version song and stuff, and I was just like, this motherfucker is live. Hold on a sec. Came out doing his little gimmick and whatnot,
Yeah.
around and stuff. So I was like, it's legit, and he wrestled. He's a good wrestler. So
And I saw there was one show that I saw him at that him and I actually talked about this moment. It was him and Rich Swann versus Keith Lee and Swerve, and they did this spot where
oh yeah,
Keith Lee like chopped him, but
yeah,
then he started laying there like he was dead, and they played that sad animal video song.
yeah. He got chopped and spit blood out, and I thought it was the hilarious. I can't remember the name of that song, but they played that on the thing, and he was just dead there, and I was like, this motherfucker is genius.
I was sitting third row for that one, and I when the song played and the little thing on the video screen of "Rest in Peace,"
Yeah,
I was damn near on the floor laughing.
Dan Gold. Yeah, it's really good. I think he's a very intelligent dude. And
Most definitely.
like I said, a big fan. Have been since I saw him. I think he's a great wrestler. I'm just surprised that the Monster Hunter never wrestled Brick Savage, but I understand the nuance of not wanting to wrestle me. Totally understand him.
Nope, not
So
I
that's perfectly fine. I'll
don't.
forgive.
Now, the two three-way matches that we just talked about with Jacob Fatu, Sam Stackhouse, and then Macklin and Archer. I have two categories here that I like to kind of round stuff off with. The first one's a bit of a name game, and each of those three ways was a bit of a boss fight three way. Now, each of these people are people that when putting together my notes, I was thinking these are guys that I wouldn't mind seeing you in the ring with. Just the ideas that popped into my head. So I give you the name, you give me quick thoughts on the person.
Okay, got it.
First one is somebody that I actually got to have on the show. A little bit of an abbreviated episode, but he gave me his time. I'm talking about now Big Bronson Reed.
Uh, man, I would absolutely love to wrestle Bronson Reed. I think that he has the agility and the strength here to give me a good run for my money. Yeah, but I gotta put him in the dirt. He's one of those dudes that you'll see me do my 12 to 6 on. I flip him upside down, drop him on his head, boom, match's over. So yeah, crazy strong dude. I'd absolutely love to wrestle.
So that match would be epic. I got to meet him at Warrior Wrestling. They had a St. Louis stop, and yeah, my podcast was a part of the fan fest and everything, and got to talk to him for an abbreviated episode. And he actually faced off that night against the next person I'm gonna mention here, Jeff Cobb.
Same aspect there. I would like to wrestle Jeff Cobb in Japan.
Ah,
That would be the move for me. If I could get Bronson here, lovely. If I could get Jeff Cobb over there in Japan, absolutely phenomenal. Two things I would absolutely love to have happen in the next year, if not.
that would be epic. I know I didn't get to have Jeff Cobb on the podcast, but I did get a chat with him during that Warrior show. And one of my hobbies behind me here, I actually got one of his wrestling figures signed by him that night, and added it to my little collection I got back here.
I see. Is that Andre and Big Boss Man down there?
Yep.
Okay.
Right. My one section that I put loose, like I like to keep them, inboxed if they're alive, so if I get the chance to meet them.
Yeah.
But if they've passed away, I got Boss Man Andre, I got a Bam Bam Bigelow Funko Pop there, got Ultimate Warrior, and you can't really see him, but the NWO looking Macho Man back there too.
Clean. That's clean. That's good.
Yeah, my first piece of WWE merch I ever got at my first ever WWE show was one of the Big Boss Man foam nightsticks.
That's funny. I used to have so many of those damn wrestlers and stuff, and man, I don't know what happened to them. One day you wake up, you're not a kid anymore, and all of a sudden, towards gone. So it would have been nice to have them now to put on some stuff for my kid, but it is what it is. But one of these days, if I get myself an action figure, that's just like the icing on the cake for me. If I make at least that far, I'm good to go.
Oh yeah, that brings me not somebody on the list here, but I recently talked to Martin Stone, or Danny Birch for some people, and he mentioned that he almost got one. Like he got scanned for it, but then he ended up being on the list of releases very shortly after, so he never ended up getting one.
Yeah. Man, yeah, it's one of those deals. If I can make it far enough to get an action figure, that's kind of one of those good enough deals for me.
Yeah,
made it this far.
totally.
Give my kid that action figure and like, hey man, look, your dad made it this far, my guy.
Yeah.
Beat that.
No.
Do his thing. Right.
Oh yeah, I can only imagine the sense of pride getting to hand that off to your kid, and just the fact of real dad, here's a mini version.
Exactly. If I can hand that to him, be like, all right, here you go. Try to beat that. I made it this far. Did that. You beat that. Whatever he decides to do, whatever, be cool.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that your dad's an action figure. Is your a lot of the kids he plays around with, is their dad have an action figure then? Oh,
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah. If I can do that, then I'll be solid.
Oh yeah. Now, next person on the list, one of my personal favorites. We were talking about over in Japan. Wanting to have a match against Jeff Cobb over there. Another person over there that I wouldn't mind seeing you against. Like I said, one of my personal favorites, Tomohiro Ishii.
I knew you were gonna say that. I was that was the next one that I was thinking. Man, I think me and Ishii would be one of those old classic fight spirit type matches, that a legit one, not one of those ones that they just have just to have. One that you can bring out, like, a legit old school fight spirit type match. Man, and he's one of those dudes that he can take a hit, so you gotta just keep on hitting him. I remember watching him and Chris Hero, and that match was crazy, phenomenal, and just the story being told there was also. I think we could have an absolute good class there. Good, just hard hit.
Oh yeah, I remember the first time I watched him. It was one of the first Wrestle Kingdoms I ever saw, and I forget who he was in the ring with, but like I just remember there was a moment where he threw a headbutt, and like you could literally hear the bone on bone smack, and I was just like, okay, I got a headache just watching.
Yeah, that headbutt shit can work with me. I used to headbutt brick walls and shit when I was, acting a fool out here in my young 20s. So, which was not a great thing to do, but it's one of those things that I could take a headbutt just to say the least.
Oh yeah. Now, last but not least on this list is somebody that they're making a bit of a comeback lately after taking, I guess, a little time off, but doing big things in AEW right now. Wardlow.
Wardlow, yeah, he's definitely on my list. If I make it to AEW, I got people on lists of different places, but if I make it to AEW, Wardlow is definitely on my list because as far as like big dogs go, Wardlow is a big dog over there in AEW, and everyone's a big dog till another big dog comes in the yard. So uh, if he's not going to scrap with Lance Archer, then I'll scrap with him. I had no problem with that at all. So let's see who the real war dog is, and it's gonna be me.
Ah, I like it. I like it.
Yeah, absolute slammer for sure.
All right. Now, I have some random questions. Some might be wrestling related, some might not be. Some might have absolutely nothing to do with anything we've talked about so far. That's why they call it random. All right. So I give you the question, you give me first answer that pops in your head.
Okay.
And I hope that my little side topic, my wife and I help out with a short nosed breed dog rescue,
Right.
and we got a 3-year-old Frenchie with us right now. And if I were to leave the door to downstairs shut, you'd probably hear him whining, but you might hear him snorting like a little pig right now below me.
Definitely could tell. I was like, oh, we got a short nose over there. Somebody's snoring, catching some Z's.
No, yeah, he's sitting right at my feet, and we also got a resident English bulldog that just decided to walk down. So hopefully they're not being too loud. But yeah, going into the random questions. First question I have, one of them, one of the only ones I always put in here because I love hearing the stories. Craziest in match moment for you?
Uh, Man, I think the Cavens one's probably the craziest one. Uh, but if it was just like something crazy that I did, uh, I'd probably go with the second road moonsault I did in the Fatu versus Stackhouse match because I've never done one before. I'd only done a standing moonsault. I've never done one off the ropes. Um, I was supposed to wrestle Lance Archer that day before, wrestle Shane Taylor. Didn't do one that night. I had practiced it a couple times at MPX before the show, and it was not great. Uh, I did one good one, did one really bad one semi good one, and then like that was it. And then the next day, we're doing that match with Fatu and Stackhouse, and when I mentioned it, how we got to the finish or whatever, after the match, I told them, "Hey, I've never done one of those before." And it was like, "What? You ain't never done one of those?" And it looked smooth. It was a really smooth moonsault, and like the way I just jumped and leaped, I think was one of the craziest ones I've done. But as far as like craziest moments, I think the Caden one and that. So
No, yeah, definitely. I speaking of standing moonsaults, the promotion that I actually started watching independent wrestling with when I was stationed in San Diego, there was a guy that went by Terex that like big dude. And then I see him do this standing moonsault and it's like, holy shit. Like a guy his size, you wouldn't think would be able to pull off something like that. And then a couple shows later, I brought a friend of mine and I could tell he was about to do it.
yeah,
So I just nudged my friend. I'm like, watch this. And then the reaction on my friend's face was just hilarious.
yeah, it's standing. It's one of those things that it's impressive enough as it is. But the bigger the person that does it, it makes it a little bit more impressive.
Oh, yeah.
Being 330 doing a standing moonsault, it's just like, what the fuck did I just watch? And it's one of those things like I see a smaller dude do it in a match. I'm like, that's not gonna get you a 3 count. But if I did it in a match, I might get a 3 count on that, because it's a lot of weight getting dropped down there. So
Oh, yeah.
player than doing a body splash, but I think this is who I am. I'm a little bit more flair. Body splashes are great, but I don't have a big fat wide belly where it makes the body splash look great. Like Angel Camacho does the Vader splash, right?
Yeah.
And that looks great. He's got a big wide stomach for that. Looks great on. Me not so much. What me weighing over 300 plus pounds, like yeah, it'll probably knock the wind out of you, but it just doesn't look the same. When
Yeah.
it's not like a little wider around the middle.
Makes sense.
But
Makes sense.
yeah, this is one of those things.
All right. Next one I have here. I've asked a few people this. What would you say is your spirit animal?
My spirit animal, uh, probably a crocodile.
Okay. I,
Uh,
I'm I'm big into crocodiles and alligators myself. I do enjoy those.
I got a tattoo of 2 alligators on my back, the big giant deer
Nice.
across my back. So there's that.
I One of my favorite areas in the zoo here in Omaha, Nebraska, where I live. They got this swamp area that it looks like you're walking on a boardwalk over a swamp. And normally the light, when people are there, the lights are out, so it's looking like nighttime and stuff. But I've been in there with the lights on, and you see the sheer amount of gators they actually have in there, and you're just like, damn.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Like I'm into sharks and gators and crocodiles and yeah, this those ferocious animals. I watch a lot of stuff that most people don't care to watch. They probably think it's too gruesome, but it's fine with me. It's all cool shit to me. So
Yeah.
that's probably why I act the way I act.
It's all good. All right. Now, this one, I thought about this myself because I always find it funny when people talk about big sums of money and like, oh, you'd never be able to spend all that. And I always tell them, you watch me. So the question here is if you had like through a lottery jackpot or something, had what I like to call fuck it money, what would be one of the first things you get?
A big giant piece of land with a huge ass pool and a hot tub in it. You gotta have a hot tub. It's a pool, hot tub. That's the first thing. Big giant land house, hot tub.
Okay. I like it. You know what? I've had different people give similar answers, not so much with the pool and the hot tub, but yes, I love it.
Well, I gotta have the land in the house to have the pool and the hot tub. I can't just have the one because
Yeah.
if I get that, just dump it in the middle of somewhere, it's not gonna work. Not gonna work. So I gotta have the whole kit there. All of it, all the.
Would you go with like one of those like you see on, oh god, one of them damn channels where they make these fancy ass pools with like big waterfalls and shit?
No, I don't even want it. It's like almost like L shaped. It has the semi medium depth all the way to the deep end diving board, going up to the shallow end, and then a hot tub attachment right next to it. So that way I have
Classic.
plenty of room to just do my laps and swim for recovery, and the hot tub thing for recovery. So I'm one of those people that takes a hot bath almost damn near every day for my recovery. So hot bath, contrast showers, and it's one of those things that if I had that all in one compass thing, then that's the move.
Oh, definitely. All right. Now, I would feel weird if I didn't have this question in here with the name of a show like I have. But what would be favorite drink, whether it be alcoholic, non, or hell, one of each?
Uh, Frozen margarita
That
or
good.
any tequila drink mixture. Basic tequila is the vibe there. So, um, non-alcoholic drink probably Baja Blast, Taco Bell. It's one of those specialty drinks I only
Yeah.
get at Taco Bell. Right, it's one of those ones I get to enjoy. I normally don't drink soda any other time, so that's the one special one that's just like
Yeah. No, I mean, my Dr. Pepper, my wife tries to tell me I have a problem. I tell her if I, as long as I have some, I don't got a problem.
that's fair, totally fair.
And my family likes to give me crap about none of them really like tequila, but for some reason, there's a couple of them out there that, you know, definitely in a margarita that I enjoy. Like the Rock's Terramana is a good smooth one, or the one that George Clooney used to own, Casamigos. That's another good smooth one that I tell people you put that in a margarita, you're gonna want to keep an eye on it because you can barely tell there's damn alcohol in it when you're putting that in there.
So I make frozen margaritas because it's just the easiest thing to make here when I'm doing stuff. If I do happen to drink, so Terramana was a big one I was using for a lot there. Don Julio is a good one, but Terramana was the easiest one. I think it was like the not super expensive kind of in a decent price range for the amount that you're getting to make frozen margaritas with, and highly recommend. Highly
So
recommend.
definitely. All right. Last but not least, here now that French bulldog seems to want to be an audience again. Best advice for anybody wanting to get into wrestling.
The first response is don't. Man, I'll give it to you because at least that one don't do it because I understand when I've heard this said before because it takes a lot of work and people that get into the business just to get into it. You're just taking up space. You're just taking up a spot that somebody else who's actually doing the work can get. Right. So if you're thinking about doing it, don't. You know, if you know you can look the part and like you have a goal, like the goal is to be in the top upper echelon of everything, right? If you don't think you're gonna get there in some form or factor, then don't do it.
Yeah.
It's just gonna be a waste of time. It's expensive. If you're not good at it, you're not gonna get, you know, the benefits you can get from actually being decent at it, looking good, doing your merch and all that stuff. Um, you know, that comes with territory. If you are a just diehard wrestling person that wants to get into wrestling, first thing I will do is go to a couple wrestling shows, talk to some wrestlers, ask them where they got trained at, and then kind of go from there. If you're in the area and you have a training facility to go to a training facility. Go travel to another one. I would recommend probably going maybe two or three. Now at this day and age that you can get different uh, knowledge from, because not one place is going to have all the answers. So if you can go to a few different places to get training from while you're, you know, in the working of it, do that. Otherwise, watch a lot of wrestling from anywhere from like the 80s, 90s, all the way up to, you know, mid 2000s and all that stuff. You want to watch that older deal to get better at the newer stuff. You know, so all that new stuff is relatively easy, but if you learn all that old stuff, it makes that new stuff way easier.
Oh, I can agree. You know, learning from, you know, the classics like, oh God, like Bruiser Brody was always a favorite of mine. He everything that happened with him happened while I was still relatively young, but still the image I have of him just coming in, swinging the chain and stuff, always was like, holy crap, that dude's scary.
Yeah, it's one of those things you don't have, you know, very many people that can look like that or do something like that. But you know, also in the same breath, you just don't get the freedom to do kind of the things like that anymore.
Yeah.
You know, everything's got to be kind of more kid friendly.
Yeah.
Or you know, business has changed, things have adapted, things have grown, things have changed. Uh, Otherwise, you know, that was basically what I was told when I was getting in. Is that was basically like the idea of what I needed to do is to be, you know, intimidating like that. So,
Oh yeah. And
uh,
you know, the advice about the schools, it's a little easier now if, you know, just do the homework. It seems like just about every part of the country has some pretty reputable schools right there. Like I know the where I got started watching independent wrestling out in Southern California has got a myriad of them. I know here in, you know, the Midwest, here in, well, Omaha, we got one that a good friend of mine is helping pick back up after the original, you know, owner had unfortunately passed away. They're doing great things carrying on there. Iowa's got a few. I mean, you go into Chicago, Ohio, all over. They're, you know, just doing the homework. You got plenty of places that it would definitely benefit to sit under the learning tree of the guys that are trainers at those facilities.
that's why I said go to a couple or two or three of them because uh, the amount of connections you can get out of those three places. Again, some places only want you to wrestle from them, but you know, I think you can advance your training a lot faster, getting under the tutelage of different people that are at upper echelon of where you want to go in those aspects. So getting the knowledge from at least two or three different people, you have things to pick and choose from
Oh, yeah.
to your own style with, and then that way you're able to, since you work three different territories, you know, of places. So you've got the connections for here, here, and here that you can utilize in your back pocket to do.
Yeah, and you get the benefit of being able to being able to, you know, pick things from the different places, and like you said, kind of mold them into your own thing, how it works for you, and then you're pretty well-rounded wrestler there.
And this will get you. This will for sure get you, your thinking cap going, and get you a little bit more advanced than some of those other people, because basically they have to go through a trial and error of things, where as now you go to one school, now you go to one that you're now intermediate already. You get past that, you're a little bit intermediate advanced. You go to the next one, you're in an advanced class. So like you're getting 3 levels of training here in a very short time span, right?
Yeah.
So that's the aspect of things. So you get your, I think doing real matches and real shows is definitely different than doing just training. But if if I was going to take a way to go and do the things nowadays, I would work on a place where you can go from beginner, intermediate to advanced, and then have a portfolio made of the stuff you can do in the ring, get a resume done, and then short clips and stuff, and then boom, send it out. Hey, here's all the places I want to work. Here's some clips and information, and then just start showing up to shows and stuff like that, and about boom. If you're going to a show, have your stuff already sent over to them, so that way somebody will read it, somebody will look at it, and then show up there, talk, intermingle, and make those connections.
Definitely great advice. Now, before we go, where can people find you social media wise? So if they don't already have their eyes on the World Breaker, they can go ahead and get them there.
Yeah, so my main page is my Instagram, World Breaker Savage. You can find me on Twitter at BrickSavage7. Same on Facebook, facebook.com/BrickSavage7. It's all the same. Follow me on that too. Subscribe to my YouTube. I post up. Sometimes I put full matches on there. Sometimes it's basically just highlight clips of things, just because I'm trying to be respectful for the promotions and whatnot. So,
Yeah,
subscribe to that on Brick Savage at YouTube.
definitely. We'll get all that in the description. Well, that is about all I have. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me tonight, and best of luck out there with Hot Pro, MPX, getting on that next Revolver show down there and everywhere in between.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.